Okay, so something really interesting just went down. On July 15th, a bunch of top chefs and food entrepreneurs got together for the Chefs Summit at the food Indaba. And the main topic on the menu? AI. Yep, artificial intelligence. And trust me, the conversation they had is going to change the way we think about food. So let's get into it and break down the key moments. The whole day kicked off with this absolute bombshell of an idea from entrepreneur Miles Quebeca. Think about it. Every tool in the kitchen, from a simple knife to a high-tech oven, has always needed a human to tell it what to do. But AI? That's a whole different game. It's a tool that can control other tools. That one thought just set the stage for this massive debate about creativity, tradition, and what it even means to be a chef anymore. So here's how we're going to walk through it, following the summit's lead. First, we'll look at how they defined AI as a new ingredient. Then we'll dive into the three big debates that popped up: automation versus craft, data versus intuition, and heritage versus the future. And finally, we'll see what it all means for the evolving chef. Right, so before everyone could jump into arguing, they had to agree on what they were even talking about. And this was key. They weren't just discussing some new app. They were really trying to wrap their heads around a fundamentally new ingredient in the culinary world. This was the question that was put to everyone in the room. It was the anchor for the whole day. It's not about, is AI good or bad? It's deeper. It's about what happens to the art, the craft, and, the business of cooking when a machine can not only follow a recipe, but maybe even invent one. And that brings us straight to the first major clash of ideas: automation versus craft. Is this thing a threat that's going to automate chefs right out of a job? Or is it more like an assistant that's going to free them up to focus on the stuff that really matters? The way the panelists broke it down was pretty smart. They basically drew a line right through the kitchen. On one side, you've got the stuff that's all about the human touch, that creative spark for plating, making a guest feel special, adapting a dish in the middle of service, that final taste. But on the other side, you've got the AI assist, doing all the boring prep work, automating inventory orders, monitoring food safety, and figuring out recipe costs in a split second. As Chef Vu Sindlovu pointed out, this isn't some sci-fi future we're talking about. It's literally happening right now. You're going to see some restaurants go all in on AI for maximum efficiency. But, and this was his big point, you'll always have what he called scratch kitchens, places where the chef's personality, their craft, that's the main event. So the market is already kind of splitting in two. This flows right into the next big point of tension: data versus intuition. What happens when a chef's gut feeling, their years of experience, goes head-to-head with what an algorithm is suggesting? Is AI a collaborator in the creative process, or is it a competitor? And the conversation got very real, very fast, with this one statistic: 1/3. A third of all food produced in South Africa gets wasted. Now, that's not just a number on a slide. It's a huge, complicated problem that a chef's intuition alone just can't fix. It's a problem that is practically begging for a solution based on data. And Chef Arabella Parkinson just nailed it with this point. She argued that the real win for AI in the kitchen isn't about chasing some global trend. It's about using these incredibly powerful tools to solve our own local problems. Just imagine an AI that could analyze food waste in real time and help chefs tweak their menus to fight that shocking statistic. That's where the real power is. So what was the vibe in the room with all this going on? Well, the summit's own poll showed something fascinating. A full 75% of the people there said they felt both concerned and excited. So this wasn't a room of optimists versus pessimists. It was a room full of realists who could see the incredible potential, but also the very real risks. The final debate they tackled was maybe the most personal one of all: heritage versus the future. How does this brand new technology fit in with the very human act of passing down recipes, traditions, and culture to the next generation? This question came straight from the audience, and wow, it just cuts right to the heart of the matter. Most AI models are trained on Western data, right? So there's a very real fear that African culinary history and its rich heritage could just get overlooked or flattened. How do we make sure the AI of the future knows what a masi is, or understands the story behind a perfectly made iguana? But the panel saw a huge opportunity here, which was really cool. They talked about how AI could make professional training way more accessible for young chefs, how it could be a tool to help with the practical stuff like costing, or even act as a creative partner for developing recipes. But maybe the most important point was that AI gives us a reason, an urgent reason, to go out and document all of this heritage, all of these oral traditions, so we can feed that knowledge back into the system from the start. So, after all these debates, automation, data, heritage, what was the big conclusion? What does the chef of the future actually look like? The feeling in the room was pretty clear. The chef isn't going anywhere. The human need for storytelling, for craft, for that personal connection, that's not something you can automate. But, and this is a big but, the role is absolutely 100% evolving. And this was the big takeaway, the idea that really summed up the entire day's conversation. The role of the chef is shifting from being a creator to being a curator. So what does that even mean? Well, it means the chef of the future will be the one who curates the best tools for the job, whether it's a perfect knife or a smart algorithm. They'll curate data to make better choices about sustainability and waste. But their most important job, above everything else, will be to curate that amazing, personal, human experience that makes us all fall in love with a great meal. And the summit didn't end with a neat little answer. It ended with an invitation. The technology is here, it's a new ingredient on the bench. But just like any ingredient, what it becomes is entirely up to the skill and the intention of the person using it. So the question they left everyone with is really a question for all of us. What future do we want to cook into being?